Police are searching for a retired Air Force general who vanished in New Mexico. William McCaslin went missing last month. Members of Congress are warning this could be a national security issue. The general was involved with the Pentagon's most advanced aerospace research. He oversaw a classified space weapons program. McCaslin was in charge of the Air Force Research Lab at a base in Ohio. It's rumored that base holds extraterrestrial debris from the Roswell crash site. The general was tied in with the UFO community. A source told the New York Post the general was a gatekeeper for anything UFO related in the Air Force. He retired due to mental fog, but investigators say he's still highly intelligent and capable. McCaslin was an avid hiker. His wife last saw him leaving with a backpack and a .38 revolver. No phone, no glasses. He disappeared 6 days right after Trump announced he was releasing the UFO files. And he's not the only one. 8 months before the general vanished, a rocket scientist who worked under him years ago also went missing. She was hiking in California with 2 other people. They saw her smiling and waving 30 feet behind them. When they turned back again, she was gone, vanished in plain sight. They searched for days and couldn't find any trace of her. This is a very, very strange situation. And 11 days before the general disappeared, another scientist was shot dead on his porch. Carl Grillmar was known for discovering signs of water on a distant planet, and he was gunned down in California. Freddie Snyder was later charged with his murder. He has a rap sheet, but was let out of jail by a Newsom-appointed judge weeks before he allegedly killed the scientist. We still don't know his motive. And we don't know if these cases are even connected. But this many top scientists getting killed or going missing in just under a year looks like a major red flag. Chris Swecker is a former assistant FBI director. Chris, the mind goes right to a foreign intelligence service. Is that where your gut tells you this is going towards?
Well, yeah, it is, Jesse. I mean, I understand the UFO angle has a lot of interest, and people love to kind of dabble in that area with their theories. But if you look at these two, they were both involved in very, very sensitive rocket propulsion programs associated with missiles and space travel. And there was one particular piece of technology, certain type of metal that really liberated us from having to rely on Russian Soviet technology back in the day. So it's really sensitive stuff, and I'm not a big believer in coincidences. So, if I were heading up the FBI field office or the FBI right now, I would have a full team on this one just to make sure. I mean, I'd look at everything, dissect their lives, and just see if there's any connection to some hostile foreign intelligence service. They want that information. They've been working to get it for years and years. India, Pakistan, even some of our friends are trying to get that type of technology from us, and they'd stop at nothing to get it.
Yeah, we did hear reports that the UFOs that were recovered are being exploited to, I guess, take advantage of whatever technology that's so advanced so we could apply that to our military. And there's kind of an arms race. Who could ramp up this UFO technology the fastest? Would that be a motive, and also a financial motive too?
Well, I mean, the motivation to get your hands on that technology cuts both ways. They would like to socially engineer their way into it, get it that way, get it through some sort of other methods that they use, or getting into our military bases with plants. And in some cases, they'll compromise a scientist, and that can lead to problem. Of course, to lead to problems. But he left with a .38 caliber weapon and a backpack, and no wallet, no phone. So you wonder what he was really up to here. Did he anticipate not coming back? No wallet, no phone, and what was he doing with the .38 caliber weapon? So you wonder if he was, if he had been compromised and he was going to, take the extreme measures to deal with it himself.
Yeah, have you ever heard of situations where foreign scientists or abducted and then, tortured for intelligence?
Yeah, there are examples of that. Most of them we haven't heard about. They're classified. But the Israelis have done this with the nuclear scientists with hostile services that they've been very proactive in that area. We've taken a few of them out. That they have, maybe with our assistance, maybe not. And it wouldn't be the first time. It happened during World War II. We were targeting German scientists. They were targeting ours. And that's where that whole, the whole aura around espionage sort of sprung up. All the James Bond stuff around nuclear propulsion, space travel, all of the weaponry that can come out of that through missile technology. And
you're ruling out this was an alien abduction. You're ruling that out? I'm not sure if you're a believer, Chris.
I'm not going to go there, Jesse. I'll leave that to the people that love to delve in that area.
We're going to leave that to other people. We just we hope we can crack this case. It's serious stuff. Chris, thank you as always. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.